In today's polarized media landscape, people can't be bothered to read an entire article. They often get a headline and fill in the rest. And we're getting to a point where the same can be done with video. Last week, Renee Good was murdered by ICE agent Jonathan Ross in Minneapolis, where I live. Video footage has come out from multiple angles, and yet there's some strong divides about exactly what the video is showing. That's why I think it's important to look at all of the video angles synced up, and I'm really glad that the New York Times has taken the time to do this. So we're going to go through a video. It's about 3 or so minutes long, and I'm going to break down what's happening here and how this relates to the world around us.
This is a cell phone video filmed by the ICE agent who shot and killed Renee Good in Minneapolis. The White House press secretary said this footage reaffirmed President Trump's previous claim, based on other videos, that Miss Good, quote, didn't try to run him over, she ran him over.
Get out of the car.
Watch.
You see the camera shake? The camera shake is important because I've been talking to even friends and family that believe that the camera shake indicates that's it, she struck him.
In isolation, the cell phone video might look like that's the case. But when analyzed alongside other angles of the shooting, synchronized by the Times, a much more complicated picture is revealed. More footage will likely emerge, but the currently available visual evidence still shows no indication Agent Jonathan Ross got run over. The footage does provide some visibility into the positioning between the agent and Miss Good's SUV and the key moments of escalation. And it establishes, frame by frame, how Agent Ross put himself in a dangerous position near her vehicle in the first place.
Which is against police training.
About 3 minutes before the shooting, footage shows Miss Good and her wife park their maroon SUV in the middle of the street and begin honking and heckling.
So this is important because I hadn't seen this angle before watching this video, and all that we had seen before was that she was in an awkward position and was like turning around. For those of you who don't know, that street here in Minneapolis is a one-way. Everybody is headed here from right to left on the screen. That's the way the street goes from this angle. So,
administration officials say they were impeding and blocking immigration agents. Footage
which might be hey, if they're blocking and impeding agents, you know, there's a case for them to be like, hey, you got to get out of here, you got to move. Doesn't necessarily justify the results of what happened. Let's continue.
Shows 11 vehicles maneuver around the SUV, including this Chevy Tahoe driven by Agent Ross.
So if cars were able to move around them, they weren't completely blocking traffic. They may have been an obstruction. They needed to move. But let's continue.
When he exits, he's already filming Miss Good's SUV, not with a
dog in the car, by the way. Check out that dog. Vicious.
Body camera typical of most law enforcement, but using his cell phone in his hand. It's not clear why. The agent's footage shows his interactions with Miss Good.
That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you.
And her wife.
I'm not mad at you. That's okay. We don't change our plates every morning.
There's verbal jabbing.
It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later.
Now, that's important because, yes, like she's given them some jabs, right? Because ICE agents do change their plates, probably for every operation they do, if not any time they just need to. They've got a stack of just, plates to use. Important to note the dinosaur here in the yard. That's real, by the way. That happens. Some people got some cool art in their yards, and that's a thing. So she's ribbing them. If you ask me, this is my own personal feelings on this matter. I think that they released this video to expand the permission structure on who to attack, because who is Renee Good and this woman? There's some annoying liberal lesbians. That's right, fellas. We got them. They're annoying libs. That's who we got to go after. Anyway, that's my personal feeling on the matter of why the second video was released. Let's continue.
That's fine. U.S. citizen, former fucking president. You want to come at us?
We see the agent switching the phone from his right hand to his left as he heads toward the front seat of his Tahoe.
I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy.
During this time, on the other side of the SUV, 2 new agents arrive in a pickup.
So realize at this point, she's already been given the instructions to leave, so she's doing that. The group in the Tahoe with Agent Ross told her to leave, and now a second group is coming up.
We see Miss Good motions them to go around her.
Out of the car. Get out of the fucking car.
Over the next 6 seconds,
Out of the car.
we see one agent reaching into the SUV, Miss Good starting to drive, then Agent Ross firing 3 shots. Now let's go back and analyze some of the key contested moments of the agent's cell phone video, alongside other footage to break down what happens during these critical 6 seconds. Here, the agent's cell phone footage shows he's moving directly in front of the SUV, as it's reversing and rotating towards him, initiating a 3-point turn apparently to leave. Law enforcement officers are trained to avoid doing this because it puts them in danger and often leads to the use of force against drivers.
So that's important, right? They're literally, and this guy, Jonathan Ross, this was not his first foray. He's not a fresh ice hire like some of these people are with the 50K signing bonus and the reduced training and getting out there fast. This guy had combat tours, and I believe he had other law enforcement affiliation as well. He's been a part of ICE for a while, after coming back from doing tours overseas. So this guy knows about rules of engagement. This guy, you can't make the case that this is just bad training. And I think this video goes on to illustrate some very important points.
The cell phone is focused squarely on Miss Good. She looks down, shifts into drive, and begins turning to the right.
Right here. You can see that she's turning to the right. You can see her hand moving. She's turning to the right.
Away from the agent. Cut to this high angle and zoom in.
Now this is the angle that a lot of people, the first one, that on the first day when it happened that came out, people say it does look like he gets hit here. And they're going to do a great job. Check this out.
We can make out the agent's body and his arm filming. We can also see at the same time he's beginning to lift his other arm. On these cameras, we can see what's happening around Agent Ross. The other agent is yelling orders and reaching into Miss Good's SUV. Her front tire spins as she continues turning right. Agent Ross is at least a few feet away from Miss Good's SUV. He does not appear to move out of the way. As the SUV rolls forward, the agent unholsters his firearm. We see in his cell phone video at this moment the camera drifting off to the left. The agent is no longer focused on filming. It's at this point in the cell phone video where it first looks and sounds like the agent's getting knocked violently.
This is so key, and I didn't even realize this was going on. Score another one for winter ice versus ice.
On the other camera, we can see what's happening. Here is Agent Ross aiming his gun at Miss Good. And here is his outstretched arm leaning toward her vehicle.
He didn't really point it out, but you see his leg slide. You see his leg slide just a little bit here. We're going to replay it. Hang on, I'm going to go back a couple seconds. Now watch his leg slide.
It's good. And here is his outstretched arm.
Dude was slipping on the ice and was bracing himself on Miss Good's car. It's behind the silver Tahoe, is Miss Good's car coming around. He's got his hand on her headlight as he pulls out, what?
Leaning toward her vehicle, which is barely visible behind the Tahoe. His phone, which is gripped in his left hand, flips over when the agent's hand lands on the front of the vehicle. There's an audible thud when it hits. The camera rotates up towards the sky. Again, while it appears the agent's getting knocked over, we can see that's not the case from the other angle, which shows he's standing with his hand near the headlight, his torso and legs.
Right there, the car is coming out. It's already starting to pass him at this point in the frame. So it looks like he's close, but it's already starting to pass him because of where his hand is.
Away from the vehicle. In the cell phone footage, the agent's face flashes on screen, then it goes black. The other angle shows us why. We can see the agent's foot sliding, his hand bracing against the SUV, and his arm getting pressed into his chest. It is impossible to determine if this is happening because of the SUV's movement or the icy asphalt, or more likely, both. And what's very unclear because of the limited quality and availability of footage is whether the agent's upper body gets swiped by the vehicle as his left foot slides back. This moment is when Agent Ross fires. We see the
At the point the first shot goes, both of his feet are clear of these tires. At the point the first shot happens, his feet are clear of the tires. She's in a turning motion.
other agent pull back from the SUV. Both of them stumble, apparently slipping on the ice. This is also the moment many have said looks like Agent Ross getting run over. And it does when watched at full speed. But looking more closely, we can see in multiple angles that there's a visible gap between the vehicle and his legs.
He wiggles past the car. I mean, you can say he came close to getting run over, but
indicating his feet are positioned outside the SUV's path. The agent's left hand is still against the vehicle and gripping his phone. We see as he fires, it's recording the clouds and the trees overhead. It's not because the agent is knocked to the ground. The other angle shows he's still standing, continuing to maintain his grip on his phone and his gun, and we see a clear and growing gap between his body and the SUV as he fires a second shot and a third.
And so I think this is important to keep in mind, because when you see that first cell phone cam footage and you see it rocket back and forth, you might think that it's like those old shoulder mounted like TV cameras, right? Where like it's like you are viewing it basically from someone's eyes. But as you could see in that film, as the phone flips back, you see his face. You saw that he was bracing himself while holding his phone on the hood of her car, and he doesn't get knocked over at all. These are very key things, and this is why it's important to lay out all of the footage and put it all together. I'm really glad the New York Times did this. This is incredible stuff. Incredible stuff.
None of the bullets have the effect of stopping the SUV. But they kill Renee Good. According to our analysis of audio from Agent Ross's cell phone video, this is his reaction.
Fucking bitch. What the fuck? What the fuck did you do?
According to a White House spokesperson, Agent Ross, quote, suffered internal bleeding after he was struck by the car.
Shame! Shame! Shame!
Later that evening, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said that he had been treated at a local hospital and released.
So, I mean, treated. He had a bruise. He seems to put himself in the way of the car. He definitely leans on it, and from what I can see, he's leaning in once he pulls his gun out in order to get a shot. Now, maybe he's only leaning because he's also slipping on the ice, but this is huge, man. You can't just have this kind of reaction. I don't see anything in that video that justifies an execution. What? And keep in mind, the ice surge, again, is here because of I've covered it in my last video, a clickbait fraud examination that does not actually show anything. It just points to stuff and says, isn't that weird? Aren't they weird? A few days ago, the Trump administration announced that they were removing temporary protected status for Somalis in the country. Now, temporary protected status means that as an immigrant, you get an easier time going through the documentation process. It's a shortcut, right? A lot of times America uses it when a place is in peril, especially if we are causing the peril in that place. Venezuelan immigrants were one of those, Haitian immigrants not that long ago. And as I mentioned before, hearkening back to the election time hullabaloo about they're eating the cats and dogs related to Haitians, now they've moved on to the Somalis are doing fraud. And because of there is fraud that's been investigated very, very publicly. People are in jail and serving time, and money is being reclaimed as I'm recording this. It's happening. So the fraud claims are kind of silly. Beyond that, ending temporary protected status in America for Somalis might sound like, oh, they're going to get them now. They're going to deport a whole bunch of them. Well, according to NPR, 705 Somali migrants nationwide currently hold temporary protected status, with hundreds living in Minnesota. They're ending temporary protected status as just a PR move. It doesn't mean anything. They're gonna what, scare these 705 people and maybe deport those ones? This isn't about immigration, and it hasn't been in a while. There was actually a second attack that happened that was not far. It was in my own neighborhood here in Minneapolis. The immigration attack happened over an arrest of a Venezuelan man where a few other residents or people who lived in the house came out with shovels and started whacking on the agent. He ended up shooting the Venezuelan man through the leg. But in the process, ICE ended up tear gassing a family in an SUV. Here's an image of the aftermath when people, rightfully people showed up and they said, "No, get out of here, ICE. We don't want you around. You've already done enough damage." Protests start up. This family's SUV was hit with a tear gas and flash grenade combo. They weren't even part of it. Come to find out, they were just driving through, just a family of kids. This stuff is out of control. It's not about, here's the story actually from CBS News. This hasn't been about immigration in a long time. According to the Department of Homeland Security's own data, only about 5.2% of the over 2,000 arrests that were made are actual criminals. And when I say criminals, I mean people with something besides not enough documentation, because that's a civil offense. If you get busted for coming into this country illegally, it's a civil offense. They deport you. It's only a felony if you've done it once and then you come back. Then it becomes a felony. So people who say, oh, well, just being illegal is a crime, that's not how it works. That's like jaywalking. The reason I'm making this video, the reason I even started really putting time into recording and learning how to sit in front of a camera and talk like this is because this incident is being used as a flashpoint, as a wedge issue. It's being used to divide people. So it's important to see exactly what the information shows. Because as I discussed in my last video, clickbait led to this, and now this is being used for so much more. Between the temporary protected status, Trump threatening to use the Insurrection Act if we don't calm down in Minneapolis, there's a lot to do. To my friends and family who I see with all sorts of various opinions about this, we need to come together. We need to understand. Many of us do, but we need to understand that this is not about immigration. This has not been about immigration since the start of it. This has been about a power trip. This has been about exercising power for some people, for a certain group of people against other groups of people, certain outgroups. In this case, the second-class citizens that are illegal immigrants. When you have double-digit number of criminals out of thousands of arrests, that's not about immigration. To the elected leaders in Minnesota, we need protection. You need to step up and do more than just say, be peaceful, because if peaceful protest continues, but no progress, no protection for the people happens, if nothing changes, just like after 2020 and everything that happened in the wake of George Floyd's murder, people aren't going to be peaceful because they have no hope. If you're watching this, please, be good to yourselves, be good to others. Join some local networks, donate to some mutual aid if you can, but for sure, organize with your community because it's time to stand together. I don't know if help is coming from the state. We're not going to be able to wait around for help to show up. So it's up to us to organize. Join with your neighbors. Get in on some signal chats that are about your local community, maybe some rapid response networks, definitely some mutual aid. Join your local DSA if you're a Democrat who is tired of the Democratic Party. If you're a Republican or a conservative, you need to take in more information than just Newsmax and OAN and Fox News and people that yap in front of a camera, which I know is ironic coming from me right now. But there's more to the story. And you may think it's funny because it's happening to people you don't like. But you're not going to think it's funny when the permission structure expands even further. And trust me, it will. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. This was my second attempt at a video like this. I wanted to actually do some video breakdown. So thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe. I appreciate you tuning in. Pay attention to the news. I know it gets draining out there, but there's a lot going on and we've got to be informed. So I'll try to make things as digestible as I can going forward. I'm also going to start picking up streaming pretty soon here on a semi-regular schedule, probably in the evening. So stay tuned for that. Thank you all for watching, and Take care of yourselves.